And here we are again. Welcome to the Fierce and Fabulous Society talk show here every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Bringing to you some incredible, I say this every week, but that's because I mean it, incredible businesswomen with an abundance of experience that they are here present wanting to share with you. And this week will be no different, I can assure you, because we have someone this week with more than her fair share of abundance of experience. But before we go on to introduce our guest this week, what has been going on here? Well, this week we have finally launching the Fierce and Fabulous Society Women in Business Growth Summit 2021. Whoa, how impressive does that sound? It kicks off tomorrow evening. Now, I have arranged for this to be an evening summit because, do you know something, ladies? I know what it's like when you've been working all day, you've come in, you've organised in family, you've maybe got younger children, having to attend to them, get the homework done, and in amongst it, find time for you. Breathe. Usually by 8 o'clock, there might be a little snippet of time for a cup of tea. So we kick off at 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock each evening on the 3rd, 4th and 5th of November, bringing to you 3 quite spectacular speakers each evening who have all fought through the challenges we all experience, are still experiencing it now, despite the multiple 6 and multiple 7-figure businesses that they are successfully running, of their challenges, of their successes, and also to share lots of nuggets with you that will help you to step forward, ending 2021 in the best place you can be and prepared to have your best year yet in 2022. And don't forget, this is a double whammy for you all, because when I thought about my experience with summits is that I can be really geared up thinking, yeah, that's amazing, I learned so much, and then boof, I do nothing with it. Because putting it into action, the now what, is where we can all fall down. So, thinking about that, I am also going on the Sunday launching a 5-day business accelerator workshop series that is going to be running in the Fierce and Fabulous Society group in, it's in Facebook, isn't it? And we will be going live in there and have spectacular speakers on our launching morning. It's going to be a morning event, and we kick off with Masami Sato, who is the international founder of the Business for Good company, B1G1. My goodness, I had to think about it there. But that is also the organisation that the summit is supporting. So for everybody that's signed up, there will be a disadvantaged child somewhere in the world benefiting from you filling in that form. So even if you don't show up, you've done some good, because there'll be money supporting that organisation. And we also have the incredible Ruth Biza, who is the founder of This Is My Era planning system that I know that I've used across my businesses, and she will be coming in from USA to be able to speak to you on the Monday as well. And then we have 4 more days of workshops so that you are truly in action and ready for 2022, and finishing it all with an amazing Q&A and party at the end of it on Friday the 12th. So no wonder it took me a bit to remember all of that. It is jam-packed. So I remember to look out to book for your ticket, secure your seat, because tomorrow the summit starts live, 8 p.m. UK time, and it'll be wonderful to see you there. Now let's get down to business, because this is the Fierce and Fabulous Society talk show this evening. And I have joining me this evening, how would I describe her? I've got to know Yvonne over the last 12 months. And actually, she has been someone who has been in my system. And I have always felt very connected to her, because she has such a powerful but gently powerful aura. Do you know, meet somebody that you just know that every single word comes from them is true and considered and kind and powerful. And she is one of these women. And when you look at what she has achieved over her lifetime, wow, the impact that she has had on people and organizations is quite incredible. And I am absolutely delighted to have her joining us this evening on the Fierce and Fabulous Society Talk Show. So, Yvonne Bridges, welcome. It is wonderful to have you with us this evening. And you are coming live. Tell us where you're actually sitting today. Where in the world?
Well, it's a teeny tiny little place I'm sitting today. I'm sitting in our cottage at a place called Sylvan Lake, Alberta, Canada. So it's
Wow,
dead center in the middle of our province, and it's just the most peaceful, calm, restorative place that I have
wow,
ever been to and continue to go to. Thank you for
wow.
asking.
Oh, you are welcome. I think it never ceases to amaze me how easy it is to just be able to connect and communicate. And as human beings, that is what it's built in. That need for collaboration and communication is what we need to have our joy in our lives. And it is
Yeah,
so accessible nowadays that here I am in Scotland, there you are in Canada, and
I
we
know.
are reaching people in all parts of the world this
Yes,
evening having this conversation. So thank you so much for joining me, Yvonne. Now, maybe you could share with the listeners a little bit just about yourself and what you currently do.
sure. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored. I truly am. It's a joy to be here. And even though I'll tell you a bit about me, I can't tell you how lovely it is to listen to you, Marianne, and chat with you because your desire to connect women and to help all of us succeed, it just makes my heart sing. So
Oh,
thank you. Thank you for all the women that you touch. Thank
oh,
you.
thank you for those words, Yvonne. And
You're
because I
welcome.
know that we share that passion for being
Yes.
able to connect women with themselves, with their
Yes.
true power and
Mm,
identity, because we are all so amazingly unique.
we
And
are.
the opportunity that we have, each of us inside of us, is quite remarkable, but we need to tap into it. So what is it that you do that supports women to do exactly that?
Well, I think that's a really important question. So what I do, I'll start with an odd thing perhaps for those of you watching. I'm 65. And what I do is I work with midlife women and beyond
Yeah.
so they find their relevance and they step into their own power. And that's important because there's so much data that tells us that midlife women are often sidelined in their career. They're feeling very much the empty nest syndrome. They have statistically 37% less in savings in pensions because of two things that occurred in their lives. And one is many women took time off for childbearing. And the second thing is that women's wages have been historically less than men. We know this around the world. And what that means is we contribute less to pensions. And therefore, many women get to this point, midlife and beyond, and go, whoa, 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 wait, what just happened? Or they could be going through a silver split, or they're just feeling like I'm being marginalized or sidelined in my business.
Yeah.
And what happened to me was the two charming C's, COVID and cancer. So during COVID, I didn't have COVID, haven't had COVID. During COVID, I was diagnosed with malignant melanoma. And it turns out that my particular tumor, think of think of a carrot going down, 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 down. So I call it my river scar, a 7-inch river scar on my right thigh,
Wow.
and 12 months of immunotherapy. The key element there was COVID caused everyone in the world to hunker down, stay home. For me, there was another element to it. And what it was I had to sit absolutely still for 3 weeks. Now, people will tell you I'm an extrovert and I love to interact with other people. I love to hear their stories. And 3 weeks of introspection, not extroversion.
Yeah.
I started really thinking about what do I want to do next? And it was an interesting question as opposed to the question of, well, I'm 65, now let's just, what are we going to, like, ride off into the sunset? No, no. So the more I researched, the more I read, the more I acknowledged that relevance is not chatted about. We hold it, we hide it, we don't honor and value the fact that we still have so much runway left in our lives.
Yeah.
And so that is where I'm spending my focus. The goal, Marianne, is in 3 years,
Yeah.
1 million women around the world feel they are relevant and they uphold and they lift each other and believe that this runway that they have left is filled with an abundance of relevance for themselves and others.
Yeah. There are some words in there, Yvonne. Relevance is such a powerful one, isn't it? And
Yes.
it's one that I so connect with, because before we came live, we were having a conversation about how you and I are both on that train, honey.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
we
we're
are.
both on the 50 plus train. And now, because people do live longer, women still outlive men,
They
we are
do.
living way longer in life. And so 50 truly is midlife.
It is.
And
Yes.
very often it's that I love that other word, the other word. I get to do that really well because I'm Scottish.
Yeah.
But that relevance and that what was it? Road? No, you didn't call it a roadmap.
Runway.
Runway.
The runway.
Oh my goodness. And how many of us, when it reaching this age, I remember like grandmothers and things who were younger than me
I
but
know.
talked like they were coming to the end of life.
Yeah.
Um, and I have some people that I knew from a corporate life who are late 30s, early 40s, talking in a way that is about their pension. They are counting down to the end
Oh,
of living. Do you know?
I do. It's like, oh no.
No,
No.
no.
Yeah. Just
Because I know
no.
one of the things that we were just chatting, and I was sharing that actually I'll be 51 next week, and I feel more youthful. I look better than I did when I was 35, honestly,
Yeah.
because I was shattered at that time. Children, full time work, running about like a headless chicken, absolutely no time for
Yeah.
self. And at this age, I'm so grateful for still being super ambitious and not seeing it like a limited journey ahead, a limited runway.
Mm. Yes.
Quite the opposite, it's limitless now. Limit.
Correct.
So tell me
Yes.
a bit more about the work that you do with women at this time in their lives to help them see that runway as a limitless runway of opportunity.
Thank you. So the work that I do with women is some women I work with one on one.
Yeah.
And we worked together for 6 months. And in that time, we don't only create a roadmap to relevance, we create a roadmap that enables women to really understand who are they now. The more important question is, who do you want to be? So, Michelle Obama wrote a book
Oh,
called Becoming.
yeah.
And I read that book and I remember thinking, yeah, this is cool. Her emphasis is on young women, very often young Black women,
Yeah.
who are wondering should they go to college? What should they do? once they get to the end of high school. And I think that's an admirable focus, because when we begin with women at that point in their lives, think of the runway they have then.
Yeah.
Equally, I started thinking to myself, it's exactly what you said. There's many of us who have had children, run around like chickens with our head cut off. We have big profile jobs. We're just trying to make it through.
Yeah.
And now we have a breath moment. And so in these 6 months with women, it's delving and excavating and really understanding this construct of, who do I want to be? What then do I need to do? And doing is not do, 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 do. It is instead driven by heart power words. So I'm going to give you one of mine. One of mine is courage.
Yeah.
So that is where I just decided to phrase it as a heart power word, because courage is actually a French root word called au coeur, which is heart.
Wow.
And so when you look at the word courage, courage for me means stepping into the arena, regardless of what the cheap seats are saying,
Yeah.
and those hurling tomatoes and other things, and decide that I want to be there with you and others, other women who also want to be there, because they want to use Shakespeare's phrase, suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune so that they can step into that power. So what they have, the last word have, is they actually have created the things that are important to them: connectedness, stronger relationships, the ability to find the courage to start a small business, perhaps, the ability to stay or not stay in a relationship, the ability and the skill, because we do a lot of work on upskilling your ability to have hard conversation, setting boundaries. And so the halves on that are having a life that matters to you, because you deserve it.
Yeah.
So part of what we do is we create this construct of decide, do, and detach,
Yeah.
because the universe holds us.
Yeah. I can
We
hear
hold
that.
us.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things there that feel really relevant. One is having the courage, women having the courage, because you have got, say we have a woman who is 50 years old, she's been on this beautiful earth for 50 years
Yeah.
and will have developed certain beliefs and values for herself by that point. So actually being able to, first of all, find the courage to step into what can feel like a dark arena. And then once they've done it, to have the courage to stay there long enough for the
Yeah.
light to come. And it's that having the courage, first of all, and how do you help them to actually find that courage to step up? And then you talked about the word, another C word. I love C words. It's what I really do. And people laugh, but I love C words. I have a whole program around C words. But the C word that came up when you were talking was that of community. Stepping
Yeah.
into that courage and then building this community of like-minded women who, when you have this urge, when somebody really hits you on the head with a tomato, that you think, I'm just going back. I'm going back.
Yeah. I
This
know,
is
we
too
retreat,
difficult.
right?
You
Yeah.
retreat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's being in I call it that emergent place, and being prepared to live in a place of continual, another C word, emergence is such a courageous thing to do.
It is. Yeah.
But without community, I know for me, whether it's my coaches, I have never without one, and without like minded women, and not just
Yes.
women, but like minded people around me,
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't have the courage to stay in that emergent space of
Yes.
learning and growth. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling that that is where your work really is, and being able to get people to stand there long enough to
Yes.
connect with that.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a beautiful frame for it, actually, is that to stay with it. Because um, when I wrote my book, I interviewed over 100 people worldwide. And I started with just a teeny tiny little group of women that I had either coached, or um, they may have been an executive and I helped their teams, or just a small little group. And they said, oh, you need to talk to blank, and you need to talk to blank. And they would, so it kind of like a spider web went out. And one of the things that really emerged when, there was about relevance for these women was the construct that there was sadness and grief
Yeah.
when the way they defined themselves in their 30s and quite often 40s didn't show up now. And so I started to ask, so why? What's going on there? What was the shift? And so there's an inner conflict. There's another C word for you. It's an inner conflict. And the conflict is, am I worthy?
Yeah.
Do I deserve this? I've lost my power or authority in this significant role. There's one woman I wrote about. She's from Aberdeen too. Oh,
Wow.
she's magnificent.
Yeah.
And I had permission to use her name. Her name is Joyce Wallace. And Joyce she shared it so beautifully. She's now working in a volunteer organization. She knows she has something to contribute. She meets people from all walks of life, and all she wants to do is help them. So in the volunteer organization, there was a situation where she knew that she could help the young woman there lead more effectively. In her previous role, she had the authority and the power to do that. In this role, she had to choose a different kind of courage to stay in that arena, to help and lift a young woman who wasn't really in strong belief that another woman twice her age really had something relevant to offer,
Yeah.
and the willingness to stay in that arena to help her teeny bit by teeny bit by teeny bit, so that the clients who walk in the door truly do get the best service that they can. So, as Joyce said, she could shift her inner conflict into this different way of believing in herself and how she could contribute. It was a magnificent transition, just beautiful.
And it's like, as you were talking, I was thinking about, as I have young women as my own children, and they've
Mm,
gone into that young womanhood is amazing. But they live in a world, as they are professional women, that is very fast, very demanding, very instantaneous. And it likened what was in my head, Yvonne, I'm just thinking this out loud, was a bit like, do you know, when you have a young mum who is running about like that headless chicken, doing everything, put that down, don't get that dirty, get to school, get the clothes done. And then you
yeah.
have the grandmother who the young mum gets driven mad by, because the grandmother just breathes and lets them get dirty and sneaks them the things that they shouldn't have. And there is this thing of the real value of both coming together,
Oh, yes.
because there is that energy for discovering new that the youth have, and this just natural physical energy, but
Yeah.
the wisdom and experience that you just cannot buy. But we
Yeah.
can often, as women, forget or never really tap in, because by that point, we feel it's so competent It just
Mhm.
feels like normal. But
Yeah.
actually, it's magnificence. It's a magnificence and wisdom that others do not have. It's
Yeah.
just our normal. So it's raising that normality up to truly recognize how powerful it is
Yes.
so that we can come together
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
be able to work and really respect youth and really respect maturity.
Yes. It's an and, isn't it? Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing I discovered on that vein is the importance of excavating our own past. So,
Yeah.
not in the same way psychology does, excavate your or look at your past and let's heal it. It's instead, let's excavate the past and look at when were you relevant? So, when you were busy helping your kids um, with their choices, what did that feel like? And when they landed in a place that was good for them, not necessarily a place you would have been, a place that's good for them, that's a magnificent thing that women do. Men too. It's allowing others to be who they are. So when we excavate backward in our journey and go, oh, that's what relevant felt like then. Now, wait, do I want that same one? Or do I want something different
Yeah.
at a different level, in a different way, so that I can share my wisdom in a thoughtful and mindful way that enables others to come with you on the journey?
Absolutely. I often say, who am I?
Yeah.
And it's actually from a Scottish comedian called Gary Tank Commander.
Oh, really?
Nobody knows him whenever I say it, but he would always say, "Who am I?" And those are three little words that have to be in my mind. I continually ask myself all of the time because when I
Yes.
reflect back in my younger years, I thought I am who I am. But it
Mhm.
was a fixed thing. But the wondrous thing I've discovered with age is that I can rediscover and discover new things about me to shift my
Mhm.
identity
Yes.
all of the time. And
Yes.
that's incredible, but it's also potentially quite disruptive. Quite disruptive.
Absolutely. Yes.
Shifting this higher force of your identity constantly,
Hmm.
but brings such excitement and opportunity into your life. Um,
Hmm. It
and
does.
we have the space now at that midlife point,
Yes, we do.
which is wonderful.
It
And I know
is.
you have found some space in your world over the last few months to actually do something that I won't launch until next October. But you're an author. You're about to launch a
I
book.
know.
How cool is that, Yvonne?
I
And
know.
I've just put up on the screen, folks, the name of Yvonne's book, which is launching on the 8th of November, and you're one of the first to hear it publicly here. And it's called You Are Relevant. So
Yes.
do tell us, because I know this has been I wouldn't call it a labour of love in the way that you do it, but you have really nurtured and taken your time in
Hmm.
its creation. It hasn't been
Yes.
just go away for a week, get it down on paper and
No.
slap it out. It really has come from this place of heart to be true and
Yes.
authentic to you in this moment in your time. So tell us a bit about it, Yvonne.
Well, thank you for acknowledging that it's actually come from that arena I talked about before, the willingness to stay there because the book emerged, truly emerged. So it's I've said for years I wanted to write a book. Years and years I've said that. Every time I went to put pen to paper, there was nothing there. It was kind of like,
I'm
oh,
feeling that, Yvonne.
I know. It's all of a sudden, I have something to say, except what do I want to say? And then I just started looking back for a moment. So I did exactly what I share in the book, I excavated. And as I excavated, I came to understand on a more deep level the things that I have shared with executives around the world. So, as a leadership facilitator, a strategic coach, and lots and lots and lots of executive teams around the world, I ask them, who do you want to be?
Yeah.
Who do you want to be in this moment? So, I ask myself that. And as I worked with women beyond the conversations for my book and interviewed them, I started to understand there was a path. And that path is really, it's simple and not easy.
Mm.
So it's truly not difficult, I promise you.
Yeah.
The challenge is the very, very first one. And it's you get to decide. You. Not me trying to convince you. You know, I used to say a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So
Words.
it's you. It's you who gets to decide. What do you want? And then let's begin with who you want to be. And then this pathway takes you there. So as I wrote, and as you know, rewrote and refined and did all of those R words, I came to understand that it's simple, not easy.
Yeah.
At the same time, the reward, that last R, the fourth R, so write, rewrite again, and reward. And that, or that refine and then reward, the reward is truly stepping into a place where you have your own power. And that's a phrase, Marianne, that's bandied about.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
had some very specific things that actually means. So stepping into your own power means you are able, so you have the skill and willing to have challenging conversations. You are willing to take the action that is required for the next shift in your life, not just your moment, your life. It also means that you uphold yourself with boundaries that are important and relevant to you. It
yeah,
also means that you've decided what your runway looks like. You've decided that this is not an end game. In fact, a runway, you know what it does for a plane? All a runway does for a plane is give it enough traction and speed to take off,
yeah,
lift up, go up and beyond
yeah,
to something that is even better and that is good for everyone
yeah.
around you. It's beautiful.
Isn't
So
that
the book is about that.
wow, powerful stuff? And so you have got this is launching on the 8th of November.
Yes.
And where can people find out about it on that day?
So there's a few places. My Facebook group is called Find Your Relevance with Yvonne Bridges.
Lovely.
You can find me under in Instagram, the underscore Yvonne Bridges.
Yeah.
You can come to my new website, which launches tomorrow, which is
Oh,
yvonne-bridges.com. And you can find me under my name in LinkedIn, Yvonne Bridges.
wow.
So a few places that we're just
You
going to
are
engage
everywhere,
in
Yvonne.
conversation. I wouldn't say everywhere. What I am saying is, so this is part of my courage, right? My courage is now stepping into a world that honestly, Marianne, when I worked as a consultant, never once did I pick up the phone. People would, I would be sitting in airports and people would call me and say, you don't know me, but you're the only person my team wants to work with. They had you before, or I had so and so, my best friend took a program with you and said, you're a real straight shooter. So, yes, I am. I like to think I'm thoughtful about that.
Yeah,
You're going to hear the truth from me, though.
yeah, yeah,
And there's value in that when it's shared in a mindful way that helps you grow as opposed to stops you in your tracks. So all of those places on social media, I would love to have you come and say hello. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful for that. And it is being
Thank you.
able to have that courage. And it does take courage as a
It
coach. My
does.
goodness, I love the C words. But it does take courage as a coach to be able to
Yeah.
lean in that way, to give others the opportunity, because that's usually those places that you're having to be a bit hard hitting, that is where the deep coaching is really
Yeah.
required, because that's
Yes.
where the source of the challenges normally are coming from. And it's going to be disruptive for everybody to lean into that space, but being able to hold it in a way that allows that person to stay with you, to stay
Mhm.
with you despite the disruption, is a talent in itself, Yvonne. And I know that over your whole lifetime career of working in very senior positions with senior people in challenging organisations, will have developed that skill to allow people to be able to move forward in the most empowering way. And it has been an absolute pleasure to be sharing a space with a woman who has had an amazing career and has valued all of that, but has now taken time in this time of your life to make it relevant, that experience relevant for you, not to leave it behind as something you did, but to remold it and to bring in new
Mhm.
energy at this moment in your life that is so connected, and to be able to inspire others by that story, because I am sure that there will be other women in the 50 plus bracket who their
Yeah.
environment is saying, oh my goodness, how's retirement? Do you know, how long have you got now? As if they're slowing down. But this
Yes.
conversation from both of us is very much that runway of, you now have a clear runway to take off in a
Yes.
way you never have. And
Before. Yeah.
what a beautiful message. And everybody to be able to read all about it literally in Yvonne's
Please.
You Are Relevant, launching on November 8th. And as Yvonne says, she is everywhere on social media. So LinkedIn, Facebook groups, and our new website. I cannot wait to see that tomorrow.
Oh,
Cannot
I'm
wait to
very
see.
excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful, Yvonne. So thank you so much for joining us here on the Fierce and Fabulous Society Talk Show. It has been a pleasure to see you, and everybody join us here every Tuesday, 7 p.m, bringing incredible women like Yvonne to you to share their experiences. And if you something is connected from this conversation today, pop it into the comments, reach out to Yvonne, pop it into a DM, and let's hear about it, because the more that we reach out to collaborate, support one another to get, whether it's getting onto that runway or you're running along it, but you're just not quite taking off, being able to have that bit of support either side to help you rise up. So thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you.
listening. And we'll see you back here Tuesday, 7 p.m, for another episode of the Fierce and Fabulous Talk Show.